to adjust to the demands of disruptive technologies. The internet is the gravest challenge to the news business. It is changing the way news is reported, disseminated, and paid for. Innovation needs to keep pace with the speed of technological development. And this, I think, is where universities can play a role. They can be the incubators of innovation, for innovation. They can be the place where the disciplines of journalism, business, and engineering, among others, can collaborate in birthing new models for the journalism of the future. The crisis in journalism does not affect journalists or media companies alone. The business of news and information is too important to leave to us, journalists, and to media companies. The quality of our societies and the future of our democracy depends to a large extent on the quality of the news and information that we get. Everyone has a stake in ensuring that the journalism of the future is one that keeps citizens informed, not just entertained, that allows the public to take part in governance, and holds powerful institutions and individuals accountable for what they do. This means ensuring that the digital infrastructure is available to the majority of our citizens and that internet access is democratized and affordable. It also means educating citizens to access, sort, and evaluate the wealth of information they get from the internet. It means training the coming generation of internet users to demand and create quality content. It means showing them how they can use the information they get from the web to improve their lives and their communities. I think universities will sooner or later come around to the idea that the era that is dawning upon us is where everyone is potentially a content producer for the web. If they are not there already, our students, in whatever discipline they are engaged in, will be out in cyberspace communicating to the rest of the world. If that is the case, then we might as well teach them how to do so effectively and how to use that space to promote the values for which this university stands, the values of excellence, service to the people, and a sense of responsibility for the future of the country and of the planet. This university can be the country's premier laboratory for experimentation on new forms of content production and citizen engagement appropriate to the particular needs of our country and its level of technological and economic development. We cannot embrace the new information and communication technologies uncritically. We should choose those technologies that best address the specific needs of our people and our desire for community and civic engagement. This is the era of democratized innovation, where users, ordinary people like you and me, are actively engaged in modifying and developing new products and applications to suit our needs. Products ranging from surfboards to software have benefited from innovations by ordinary users. The idea is that ordinary people, such as students, if given the right tools and resources, can innovate technologically to the point that they can produce better products than those developed by the R&D units of big companies. In this way, users take control of technology instead of the other way around, and their innovations can have profound impact on their communities. In the long run, such experimentation creates a demand for more scientific and technological knowledge, which in turn generates more innovation. This also means that over time, science and technology, like journalism, will no longer be an exclusive priesthood. I'm guessing that that will be the way for other professions as well. The social sciences and the humanities will cease to be the sole domain of so-called experts. Given the proliferation of cell phones in the Philippines and the many ways Filipinos have found for them, I don't see why we cannot be at the cutting edge of new applications and new technologies that use mobile phones for providing information to citizens and for getting them involved in civic life. I don't see why UP cannot be the place where such experimentation can take place. What better laboratory is there than this university with its tradition of excellence and social engagement? Can you imagine what would happen if we got engineering, business, and mass comm students together to engage in such experiments? What would happen if the university set up an innovations laboratory that brings all these disciplines together? After all, Facebook was invented in Harvard. Google was a Stanford startup. The problem, of course, is that in whatever platform, public service content will be continually fighting for eyeballs with less, shall we say, less edifying content. Democratizing digital access does not necessarily mean that citizens will use their access to get information on public life. The real challenge, both for professional journalists and others producing content that hopes to engage citizens, is how to make that content freely accessible, as well as useful, interesting, and relevant. Recent studies on media effects in both new and mature democracies have shown that there is a causal relationship between the use of news media and civic engagement. That is, information on public affairs increases the motivation to actively take part in the political process. Information on public life leads to engagement in it. A recent study by the public relations company Edelman of blog readership shows that blog readers are more likely to sign a petition, forward email, or put pressure on governments or companies. This is the percentage of people in these countries who sign petitions, etc., as a result of reading blogs. The problem here is that those who are not interested in politics will not read the news. So we create a chasm between those who are attuned to current affairs and those who tune out. As media audiences and media content become more and more fragmented, allowing readers to view just the sites that cater to their narrow interests, there is a danger that those who are ill-informed will remain even more so. This could mean the rise of ghettos of informed and engaged citizens amid a mass of disinterested and disaffected ones. All of us here today have the difficult task of getting this mass of disinterested citizens into the public arena by delivering deeper and more relevant and useful content. We can't force feed them news and information, but we can find sweeteners to make our product more enticing. This task is not the media's alone. Universities play a role, as does civil society. We live in a networked world. The ties that bind us are multiple and overlapping. Information is one of those bonds. Family, community, nation, university are others. Technology provides us the tools to strengthen existing networks, but it cannot, on its own, create those networks from scratch. Computers cannot perform the task of engaging citizens, much less the painstaking work of reforming society and building democracy. Computers cannot bring a moral dimension to our political life, but people can. Informed people can. There is no substitute for human creativity and human energy, what we call people power. And that, in this country, we have plenty of. We may not have the edge in technology, but we have a tradition of public engagement. Creativity is in our DNA. We know what people power is all about. We have a global reach. The Filipino is everywhere. Combine that with computing power and information power, and you get a combustible mix that can propel us ahead of our competitors. Once again, we can show the world how. Mabuhay ang UP, mabuhay kayong lahat. Magandang hapon at maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, Professor Coronel. Our lecturer is now ready to answer questions from the audience here in UP Diliman, as well as those in the other campuses. Since we have very limited time, please keep your questions brief and direct to the point. We will entertain the first question from our audience here in NISMED. Please raise your hand, and when recognized, please proceed to the nearest microphone. State your name, your college, and your question. Who would like to be first? Yes, please. Please approach the microphone and identify yourself.
Sheila, Lucy Lasso, and I were in East Timor when the president was shot, and we were sleeping. I got the news from my sister in LA ahead of me who was in East Timor. Yes. And I think that's saying what you just said.
Exactly, Remy. Yes. We live in a networked world.
Oh, I'm very Rican.
Anyone else? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I'm pathologic because I always ask questions. I'm Dr. Celia Bulan from the Department of Speech and Theater. Although I came in a little bit late, Sheila, I'd like to apologize for that. Thank you for preparing so much today. Well, that lady said that the news about the East Timor president being shot was almost instantaneous, maybe even 100th of a second, the way Michael Phelps won one of his events. But what good is that, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't act? That thing should lead us to action. For instance, I gave this tricky assignment to my students of Com3. Hindi nagbabasa ng dyaryo eh. Nagblog lang. But, you know, when you blog, what if I were to blog with someone who knows half of what I do, or I don't know half as much? I'm not even well informed. I don't even bother to check the accuracy of what I learn from all of these sources. So, trash, interacting with trash, not the person, but the kind of messages that you exchange may be trashy, that kind of low caliber quality. All right, this is my point. What is the point of all this good technology if we don't act on it? So when the students of Com3 were given this assignment, hey guys, okay, I'll require you to read the newspapers, go to Google, and make a little impromptu speech next session on the death of Alexander Solzhenitsyn and on the MOA, the Bangsamoro thing. Napilitan po lahat sila, and in the next 2 sessions, they gave wonderful little speeches about these 2 events and their opinions. Napilitan po sila mag-isip. Napilitan po sila mag-reflect. Napilitan pong, ano nga ba? Ano nga ba ang pananaw ko dito? And then I always conscientize them. Mga scholar kayo ng bayan, hindi nyo alam kung sino si Alexander Solzhenitsyn? And then they began to make the first ray of light in their reflection. Oh yes, Alexander Solzhenitsyn is like Jose Rizal. Or Jose Rizal is like Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Like Anne Sullivan, I cried in my heart. Yes, that's it. That's what I want to elicit from you.
Okay, ma'am, we have other people who are waiting in line. Thank you very much. Unless you'd like, okay. So we have